Hello, hello. Today is May 10th, 2026, and today we are going to be talking about the Trump administration being completely out of touch with the way the American people feel, just claiming the economy is hotter than it's ever been, the war is going fine, and we're winning. I put together a collection of different Trump officials claiming everything is fine. What you're feeling is incorrect, and the economy is ripping, and if you disagree with them, you're wrong. This one was just today talking about gas prices. Now, gas prices, of course, have been up since the beginning of the Iran war, but here's what our president has to say about it.
Have to. They asked us not to do it during the negotiation.
Are you considering maybe going back to that now that gas prices are more than $4.50?
It could, well, no, gas prices have come down today. Have you looked? They've come down very substantially today. The gas prices, you know what's happened today? Gas prices are way down and the stock market is way up today. So gas prices have come down, and I saw today that they broke negatively. In other words, to our positive position.
Quick interruption. Gas prices nationally were down 1 penny. That's what he's talking about. Yes, they went down, but it was 1 penny. But what he really cares about is the stock market. And of course, he squeezes that in there. That is up, showing that there's a total disconnect between the stock market and the actual needs and wants of the American people.
They broke our way very substantially. And when the war is over, gas will fall down at levels that you've never seen before. You'll be down to where you were, maybe even lower. We had it down to, I was in Iowa, and we were at 85. We were about 85. What did you say? Yeah, I think so. We broke it. We broke it. We had numbers that nobody's seen in a long time. So you had $2 a gallon. We were down, I think, to $1.85, $1.90 in Iowa and a lot of other places. Outside of California, where California charges such a high tax on the gasoline, when you take that tax off, but California has a tremendous, I don't know if anybody knows, California.
He makes the claim that gas prices are going to fall very quickly after the war, which that's not even necessarily true. The disruption in supply is only half the story. The destruction of the infrastructure in the Gulf, that's not going to be fixed immediately. That's going to take 6 months to a year just to get those facilities back to where they were prior. That's not even counting the full output being the same as before the war. So, as usual, he's just delusional in his expectations. And unfortunately, he's not the only one. A bunch of his advisors in the economic sector were saying the same thing. This one went pretty viral from Kevin Hassett. I'm sure just about everybody's seen this at this point. Take a look at this one. See if you guys agree with this.
Seeing in the earnings reports. And so the consumer is really firing on all cylinders, just like the corporate sector you're seeing in the earnings reports. And they're doing that because they have so much more money in their pockets. In fact, I had the head of one of the big five banks in my office yesterday going through the credit card data. And just as Secretary Bessent said, credit card spending is through the roof. They're spending more on gasoline, but they're spending more on everything else too. And so the consumer earnings reports, and they're doing that because they have so much more money in their pockets. In fact,
he thinks the economy is ripping and credit card spending is up because we have more money in our pockets. I don't think it takes a genius to know that's not why credit card spending is high. It's because inflation and the rise of cost of everything is up and people can't pay for anything, so they're putting it on credit cards. That's not a victory. I don't think it takes a genius to say that. And the question is, when he and Trump and the other officials you're about to look at are talking, are they lying or do they believe it? It's actually scary if they believe it, because that means they're not even going to try to fix it because they think everything's fine. The jury's still out on that one. And let's take a look at the polling. It doesn't lie. Americans are worried about inflation and don't like how Trump is handling it. Shows that 61% say the economy is getting worse, the largest share of Americans to say this since 2022. Now, what was going on in 2022? I'm sure nothing. Not like we were in the middle of a pandemic. So the sentiments are just as bad as they were then going on. And the most to ever say this in Donald Trump's 2 terms as president. The question has been asked almost every week since June 2017, since the beginning. So after all these years, all this time, people are down on Trump, and it's hard to not see why. Another one from our president. This one was from a few days ago. Many of you have probably seen it already, but take a look at this one. This is some of the reasoning behind the war and how he thinks the gas increase is worth it. Totally worth it.
The average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30
All right,
in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a nuclear weapon in the hands of Iran. The gas will go down. As soon as the war's over, it'll drop like a rock. There's so much of it. It's all over the place, sitting all over the oceans of the world. And it'll go down. But what won't happen is if Iran had a nuclear weapon and used it, then the whole world is a different place.
What about
You're
the
not going to have to
big
pay
terms?
a little bit more for gasoline. The gasoline, the oil will go down rapidly as soon as the war is.
The average price of a gallon of gas is now $4.30 in this country.
And you know what? And we're not going to have a.
In the reasoning behind this war, he keeps talking about the nuclear weapon. His own director of national intelligence said they were not approaching a nuclear weapon. The previous Ayatollah did have a fatwa against nuclear weapons. Now, were they developing uranium? Most likely, yeah. Those facilities were underground, but there was no credible intelligence saying that the nuclear weapon was imminent, other than Israel saying it's been 2 weeks away for about 2 decades now. And in that same press gaggle there, he did say it would be worth it if it went over $200 per barrel for gasoline. And just some of the consequences from that, people hear the price per barrel and don't really know what that translates into their day-to-day lives. But I was able to pull some sources here. Gasoline would likely surpass $6.50 to $7 per gallon nationally. That's what would happen if it hit over 200 per barrel, which at this point is possible because short-term demand for fuel is inelastic. People still have to drive to work. This acts as a massive regressive tax. That term inelastic, basically that's a simple way of saying people are going to have to pay this no matter what. It's not optional. People have to get to work, people have to drive their kids to school, etc., etc. So this is an increase that affects everybody, and there's nothing you can really do to avoid it. RBC estimates that every $10 increase in oil, consumers lose roughly 25 to 35 billion in annual spending power. At $200, this would wipe out over 400 billion in discretionary spending, effectively cannibalizing the retail, travel, and hospitality sectors. So looking at what Kevin Hassett said about the consumer being ripping through the economy because we have so much money, their own Iran war policy is going to destroy the already delusional take. Aaron Rupar on X has been getting all the best clips from some of these administration officials. Take a look at Sean Duffy here. He has a great opinion on where we're at with fuel prices, and he's looking pretty optimistic about it.
We live in a very different world, and I just don't think we've had other presidents who have been willing to see the threat and address the threat of Iran. And so I think opens up, you're going to see prices come down immediately. You saw yesterday energy prices came down below $100 a barrel. I think we're at 93 this morning. Don't quote me on that, but I was looking at things like 92, 93 for Brent crude. So we're in a good place.
We see the price of crude going down significantly recently, but when could we see that at the pump? Especially now we're getting into that summer blend gasoline. 90% of Americans take road trips for their summer vacation.
Well, first of all, we want to encourage all Americans to take a road trip, whether you're going to go 2 hours or 2 days, to see your country. Everyone should come to Philadelphia, by the way. This is where it all started. Great history here, so if you're thinking about a summer road trip, come to Philadelphia. But it's interesting the way gas stations work. When prices go up per barrel, you see that the next day the price at the pump goes up. And as prices go down, it takes a little bit longer to ricochet through lower prices at the pump. That's the way they operate. But again, we have a lag time of probably a week to 10 days when we see a price per barrel go down to see prices reflected.
Blame the gas stations, blame the way they work. And he's not technically wrong that the increase happens instantly, and when prices go down, they tend to lag before dropping their prices. That is totally true. But what's his advice in the middle of this? Go take a road trip. We're in a good place for fuel prices. He said that's the exact term, good place. How many of you feel like we're in a good place with fuel prices? Probably not many. And then he's encouraging you to take a summer road trip. Yeah, it must be nice. So we've had Trump, Kevin Hassett, and Sean Duffy all giving their takes. We also have Energy Secretary Chris Wright, who's of course huge in managing gas prices as the Energy Secretary. He claims the administration is all about lowering energy prices. Let's take a look.
And what about people's concern about gas prices? They're seeing numbers that give them some heartburn and some heartache, and it's hard for a lot of people to figure out how they're going to stomach this for much longer.
It is, and of course it's been tough for our administration as well. This is an administration, the first Trump term and the second Trump term, all about lowering energy prices, and an incredibly successful record in doing that. So when President Trump looked at the trade-offs of going into Iran right now, he knew his sort of beautiful record of just constantly pushing down energy prices, gasoline headline prices as well. But Iran has roughly 1,000 pounds of uranium enriched to 60%.
And there it is again, talking about the uranium enrichment. It's back to that. And they're acting like the American people is going to go for that, as if they're going to accept the price increase. It's just not going to happen. And he talks about the beautiful record. It doesn't matter what he did in the past. It matters what he's doing now. And no one's going to forget that prior to the midterms, unless there's some miracle and gas takes a massive tumble, which the way it's going, Iran's going to try to drag this out through the midterms. They'd be crazy not to. It's clearly putting the pressure on the administration. And I just wanted to cap it off with this. It's clear where the priority is. It's not about gas prices. It's not about helping the American people take off some of the pressure. This is what he cares about. Stock market hit an all-time high today. Jobs and 401ks are booming. There's always this talk about 401ks. The problem with those is people are suffering now. Most people aren't touching their 401ks for decades. He genuinely thinks the stock market is a reflection of the economy for most people. And I think normal people know that's not the case. It's totally disassociated. You saw during COVID, in the middle of the lockdown, stock markets hitting all-time high. During war and gas price surges, stock market hits all-time high. It's the one thing that always goes up when everyone else's economic future goes down. And not only Trump, half of his cabinet saying the same thing. They're defending the war. They're saying it's all going to be great. The economy's ripping. And I think our experience says otherwise. So that's it. That's what we're looking at. I don't know if they believe what they're saying, or if they do, which is even scarier, because that means they don't think anything is broken. And so that's it. We're going to see what happens. Everyone have a good day and good luck out there.